Well, hello everybody. This is Sean, and I've got another video for my channel 300 Baud. And here we've got a pretty significant pile of computers I just acquired. I just picked these up today, and I couldn't be more excited. So why don't we dig through this pile and see what I've got. So first things first, I had worked with this person to get the price that I was comfortable with and they were comfortable with selling. And to do that, he had a large collection of various items, but I was really interested in the Commodore computers. I definitely wanted this Texas Instrument, so we'll take a look at the TI 994A first. I had one of these at one time, but mine was not in the box. Now, granted, the box on this is a little rough, but it's still nice to have the box. This was originally purchased, it looks like in 1982, December 31st of 1982 at JCPenney. And it doesn't have, I can't see a price tag on it. I would imagine it was probably pretty pricey, but it's really, I'm just so excited. When I picked up the computers, the seller just went ahead and threw it in. I don't think the TI-99 has a lot of value. I haven't priced these recently, but I'm assuming it's, they probably sell for around 50 bucks maybe on eBay. The problem is you'd probably pay that much just for the shipping. So inside the box, I've got the television switcher adapter thing here. I've also got the power supply. The power supply's got something that's kind of odd on it. It's got this weird plug-in thing. I'd imagine this is probably a fuse. It says safety checked. So I imagine that's a fuse. Don't know for sure. And then the computer itself. Unfortunately, there's no manual and there's no packing material, but the computer is pretty decent. It's got a tiny little dent here. But overall, I think it's got something built up, I think, on the aluminum here. But I think I can buff it out. Oh, there's a tiny little dent here too. But quite a pretty computer. Keyboard feels pretty nice on it. Never used a TI 994A. I remember the commercials. I believe it was Bill Cosby used to do the commercials for the TI. But never actually got an opportunity to use one. Very cool little computer though. We've got solid state software. So you would buy cartridges and put it into here. On the side of the computer, we've got a port. Not sure what that's for. A blank here. Here's our video output. On this side, I've got my power and another port. Not sure what that's for. Looks exactly the same as this port. I would guess that this one is probably for a joystick. This one here, not sure. And then I've got, looks like an expansion port or expansion bus on the side. That's it on the TI. Let's move on to the next box here. So I've got a boxed Commodore 64. This was sold at Kmart. It looks like the price was $199. And it's one of the older boxes. It's not one of the original boxes, but it does have, you can tell if it's from the original box because it'll have an older PET drive here, which they later replaced because you couldn't really plug a PET drive into the Commodore 64 without at least getting some kind of an adapter. But you'll see it still has the old tape cassette that you'd find for the PET computer, as well as a dot matrix printer that would have been sold for the PET computer. Looking on the inside of the box, this one doesn't have the original packing material, but I do have a couple of interesting things here. So this guy, it says Calm Talker 2064. There's a volume control. There's an internal, external power. There's a reset button. On the back, we've got the power input as well as the speaker output and some kind of a port. I believe this is goes into the user port on the Commodore 64. And what this guy is a speech synthesizer. So I'm very excited about trying this out. Hopefully it still works, but very cool little device. I've got the TV switch box. This one's looking pretty rough. And I have a 300 baud modem. This is a model 1660. Looks like it might have a speaker at the top. It's got a little switch here. I'm not sure what this does. You can leave a comment below if you know what that does. We have a audio input. Don't know why you need an audio input on a modem, but it has it. We also have our line in and phone out, and that's about it. It's a pretty nice looking modem. You know, probably an updated version of the original VIC modem. VIC modem, of course, would have been developed for the VIC-20. This is a model 1600. Very similar, but it only has the phone input, so you'd actually have to unplug your phone to plug this one in. It does have the little magic switch on the side, and in this case we have a red LED. I would imagine this probably lights up when it has power, or possibly when it's online, not sure. Looks very similar. I kind of like my original VIC modem over this one, even though this is a little bit slicker, a little bit more modern. And I have the original user guide for the computer, and I did already check the serial number on this box. Does not match the computer, so this ends in 6239. Oh, and the computer does not. Here we've got a game on cartridge, International Soccer. I don't really have much software on cartridge. I think I have a fast load, and that's about it. So having an extra cartridge is pretty nice. This is, here's the computer. The computer is a bit dirty, but looks like it's in pretty good condition. The case is intact. There's no cracks or anything like that. So I'm excited to test this machine out and see if it works. I've got the original 90-day warranty. Probably not valid anymore. We also have a couple of power supplies. This is the original, or I should say, this is the power brick I'm most familiar with. It's very heavy. It's because it's filled with epoxy resin, making it completely non-repairable. And you can see this one's kind of bulging at the bottom. So I definitely would not trust this on a computer. It's likely to short out. So kind of just a decorative piece. Now this power supply, I have never seen one of these. It's got a part number 9025031, and it is a Commodore branded power supply. One difference between this and the other power supply is this one is lighter, and I can see inside of it, so it doesn't seem to be filled with epoxy. I might have to take this one apart and take a look on the inside, but definitely interested in giving this one a go and seeing what it's all about. And I also have the lead that goes to the switch box. So that's it in this box for the Commodore 64. So let's go ahead and put all this back. Okay, I've got another box here, and this box is actually super cool. It's a box that held computer paper in it. So you can see the resemblance to computer paper here. And it says Bankster's box. Okay, so it's got copyright 1978. So this is an old box. It's really nice because it's got a couple of handles. I can carry it around. So I'll end up keeping this box and using it for storing magazines or books or whatnot. Now, so I'm going to scooch this off to the side. In the box, I've got another Commodore 64. This one is a bit rougher looking than the first. It's quite dirty. But again, there's no cracks in the case. You know, it looks pretty good. I would like to plug this guy in as well and see if it works. The serial number on the bottom doesn't match the earlier box that I've got. But, you know, it's another Commodore 64. It's got some stickers on it that almost look like Braille. Not sure, but there's 3 dots on it, one over here and one over here. I'm not sure why, but it's kind of interesting. So we will take a look at that later and see if it works or not. And then inside the box, I've got a few things. So it looks like I've got a video cable that has the Chroma and the Luma, as well as the audio. Unfortunately, it's been spliced, so I'm not sure what was going on here. But I can fix this. There's enough wire hanging out that I can fix this up and make a decent video cable for the computer. And I've got looks like a serial cable, just a extension cable. And I've got this guy. This is a G-Wiz by Super Corporation. What this does is it allows you to plug your Commodore 64 into a standard 9-pin printer. So this is cool. I have to test this out. And I also have this Atari SX 212, I guess, or XX212, or however you say that. I'm pretty sure this is a modem. It's got, looks like some kind of serial connection here and a proprietary Atari type connection and a line in, as well as a power. It looks like it might even have power input here. It's kind of an odd one to have. I do have an old Atari original, was it the ST512 or something like that, and I've never been able to use it, but this can go nicely with that old Atari. And I also have this Epix 500XJ ergonomic joystick with the clicky buttons. So I guess they're micro switch buttons. It's a bit dirty, but I can clean this guy up and have a nice joystick. And another thing that's kind of cool in the box is this old Memorex sticker. I believe this would probably go on the original box of discs, and it just kind of fell off. But it's actually just a really cool looking sticker. But it says Elephant Memory Systems. So that's a keeper. And I have a 1541 and 1571 drive alignment software by Free Spirit Software. So I've never aligned a Commodore disk drive, but who knows, maybe one day I will have to do that. So it's a nice find. I've also got a new inbox disk drive head cleaner for, this is by Suncom, and it's for the 5 1/4 inch disk drives. You got the clinger in here and also the diskette that you put the clinger on the disk. Kind of looks like it might be dried up. Honestly, I probably wouldn't use this anyhow. I would prefer just to take the drive, open up the drive and use a Q-tip and alcohol and clean the heads that way. But yeah, it's kind of cool to have. Here's the user manual for the G-Wiz Super G printer interface. And I've got a nice pile of Commodore manuals. So here's the Commodore 64 Programmer's Reference Guide, a must-have if you're going to program the Commodore 64. I've got the newer style Commodore 64 User's Manual, as well as a older style User's Guide. And here is a Commodore 128 Programmer's Reference Guide. Very, very excited to have this manual as well. So here's a beautiful book. It's actually a hard bound book for the Commodore 64 graphics and sound programming. I think this would be a lot of fun just to kind of go through it and learn how to program. I'm sure it's covering sprites and all kinds of other things, but very, very nice. Nice book to have in my collection. Got a couple of VIC 1541 disk drive user manuals. I don't know if I have any of these. I do have 1541s, but I'm not sure I have that one. This is an interesting one here. This is a manual for the new Model 64 sequencer. So I believe this is for a device that would allow you to plug MIDI instruments into the Commodore 64. I don't have the device. So it says, initial hookup, illustration for your Model 64 sequencer system. I don't know if it was this. It's got MIDI in, MIDI out. This is it actually right here. It's this little box that plugs in the back of the Commodore 64, and it has MIDI in and MIDI outs that would go to your MIDI device. And then it looks like you can hook up a foot switch as well as a drum box, an optional drum box. Unfortunately, like I said, I don't have that, but I've got the manual. Got some software. Here's Teleterm 64, and we've got a really cool package. This is Quantum Link. I may be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure Quantum Link became America Online. So this is a very, very early way of getting online. It wasn't the internet because you actually dialed into a server, but it was a way people could actually get information like news, stock quotes, play some games, simple stuff, but just kind of a really neat piece of history here, still in the box. Here I've got a book on machine language for beginners. This is definitely something I'm interested in. It's kind of one of my bucket list things. I always wanted to learn it to be able to program an Atari 2600. I probably will never do that. The Atari 2600, I guess, is a real pain to program. So you're better off with sticking to like an Apple II or a Commodore or something that uses the MOS 6502 series processors. As you can see, this book is not machine specific. It actually says machine language programming for the Atari, the VIC, the Apple, the Commodore 64, and the PET. So basically anything that used a 6502, this book will help you learn how to program machine language. And I've got another really cool little pamphlet here. This one's actually a bunch of software. So, oops, I got it upside down. So let's take a quick peek. We've got, this is Nevada COBOL. So looks like COBOL programming language. Commodore 128 sampler. We have test demo. Notice the branding, the Commodore branding on the disc sleeves. This is the 1541 test demo disc. The VIC-20 and Commodore 64 and +4 modem software, the terminal software for the 300 baud modem. We have a blank sleeve. We've got the, here's another 1541 test demo. Commodore 64 screen editor. And, here we go. This is the text-to-speech Commodore 64 VIC-20. It says, see manual for loading, copyright manufactured by something incorporated. Let's see, what is that? RIST Incorporated. So this should be what I need for that little voice box. Hopefully it still works. Here's X Phrase Finder. Okay. You can load software for the VIC or the 64. Oh, more speech software. And that seems to be about it for the software. I do like this binder. I think it's very cool. And this book here, I'm actually very excited to have this. This is Compute's first book of PET CBM. So a very nice guide for the Commodore PET range of computers. I have a collection of PETs. I love my PET computers. So having this guide is really nice. I do have some other guides for PETs. This one's copyright 1981. Here's a book on troubleshooting and repairing the Commodore 128. Here's another book on programming basic for the classroom teacher. Very neat. And let's take a look at some of these other books I've got here. This is a assembly language programming for the Commodore 64 and 128 by Sams. Here is the Commodore 1571 Essentials, Central Reference. Now, what's interesting is these Commodore disk drives are basically a computer all into themselves. They have their own ROM, they have their own RAM, they have their own processor, and they can be programmed. And here we've got the Commodore 128 internals. So quite a busy book there. Now I'm at the bottom of the box and I have a collection of magazines. I've never seen this one before. It's Recreational Computing from July, August of 1979. Isn't that beautiful? Fooling around with your pet. And on the back, we've got a little advertisement here from Dr. Dobbs' Journal of Computers. Another old magazine, we've got Creative Computing, which I have heard of this magazine. I used to buy this one, but I never had one this old. This is from July 1980, and just look at this beautiful cover art on this magazine. Unfortunately, it's got something spilled on it. It looks like wax or something on there, but very, very nice. It says 6 simulations, 4 evaluations, 10 columns, and 16 articles. Let's take a look at the back cover of this one. Oh, now this is a work of art. It says, the home computer you thought was years away is here. It is a C8P for $950. Oh, geez, there's another one here actually. It's Ohio Scientific C8PDF. It's $2,895. You can take this and multiply it by 4 now to get the actual price. Now, I don't think it's going to tell me any specifications here like RAM, ROM, or anything like that, but this is pretty cool. So the Challenger 8P by Scientific Ohio. Wow, Ohio Scientific. Here we've got a Commodore Power Play magazine. This would have been, I think, geared towards gaming. And let's see here, it has gaming reviews, how to design your own games, free Commodore 64 programs. Oh, so it's probably got some type-in games. This one's from November 1985. On the back, we've got an ad for a couple of SSI games. We have Crestron and Gemstone Warrior. Beautiful. We've got a couple of Compute magazines here. This one's from 1983. And let's see, it says all new games issue, several different games it's going to review here. Supershell Sort for the pet. Creating graphics on an expanded VIC. In the back. Oh wow, look at that. We have an advertisement from Commodore. They actually did advertise. So this says the Commodore 64, only $595. So this is a very, very early ad for the Commodore 64. And that would be from 1983. Here's another Compute magazine. This is from 1987. On the back, we've got, and look at that, an advertisement for a Laser 128 computer. So apparently, this Compute magazine has all kinds of different types of computers in it. Looks like a lot of programming, a lot of type-in programs. Here's a computer ad. We can get a blue chip personal computer, 100% IBM compatible for $500. That's actually quite a deal. And there's a Commodore PC 10-1. I actually had one of these at one time. I no longer have it. That was $489. So pretty cool. And here's an Atari PC. And it says, we will not be undersold. The Commodore 64 was $149 by this time. And the Commodore 128D, which I have one of these in my collection, was $459. Wow. Here's another Compute magazine. On the back, we've got an ad by Epix. Now we've turned into Compute's Gazette. So Compute's Gazette focused on the Commodore user. So this one's covering the Commodore 64 and 128. This is kind of cool. It's got a disk doubler. Get twice the storage on your 1571 disks. This is a Commodore microcomputer magazine. I've never seen this, but it's got the Commodore 128 in pictures. I don't know if the Commodore 128 was out yet or what's going on, or if they're just showing pictures from the Commodore 128. On the back, we've got a advertisement for a Aprotech dot matrix printer. I remember this ad. Thanks for the memory. And here's another ad. I remember seeing this. I always wanted this. You could turn your Commodore 64 into an Apple II Plus. That's pretty cool. Well, Here's another Commodore microcomputer magazine with its absolutely beautiful silver cover. Free type-in programs, software reviews, word processors for the Commodore 64. Lots of stuff going on here, as it's the best of 1985. On the back, we have that boring Aprotech dot matrix printer advertisement. Here's another Commodore microcomputers magazine. This one has an Amiga update. So this is from February 1986. What do we got on the back? Oh, we've got another Aprotech dot matrix printer. How exciting. Here's the Commodore magazine. Now, Commodore magazine, I believe, was published by Commodore themselves. This is from December 87, and I have several of these, and I'm very excited to have these magazines. Here's a ad by SSI, and here's March of 88, word processors for the Amiga. July of 88, we have Epics. In August of 88, Adventure Game Magic. Isn't that cool? Tile display. Imagine that. And here we got September 88. Looks like they're talking about computerized comic books. And October 88, talking about chess. And here is November of 88. Cinemaware. That company made these applications that looked so realistic for the time. They were just amazing. It Came from the Desert comes to mind, which is just a super cool game for the Amiga. And here is Coming Attractions from December of 1988. It's got a buyer's guide for the best of 1988. And Amiga Desktop Publishing from January 1989. And this is the last of my Commodore magazine collections. Oh, here's another Cinemaware game for Rocket Ranger. So that takes care of everything that was in this box. Like I said, this box is definitely a keeper. It's got instructions on how to turn it into a nice carry box where you can carry stuff around. It's a very old box and definitely a keeper. So next on the list of items, I've got a Commodore 1571 disk drive in its original box. I'm really excited about this disk drive. I think I have one or two of these, but I've got one box, but it doesn't have the foam inserts. This one is in beautiful condition. I've got the original manual. I've got the software that it came with. I've got the original cables, the power cable and the serial cable. And the drives themselves look really good. They're not like heavily yellowed or anything. And they have the little drive protector in place. So I'm excited to try these guys out and see how they work. Like I said, I have two of them in the box, and they're both basically look exactly the same. Same condition and everything. So we'll try these out later. So this is the last item that I purchased in the lot, and it's kind of funny. It is, the box is for an Apple Color monitor, but it's been modified to fit the Commodore 128. So let's take a look at this. You can see I've got Commodore 128. I've got my nice little Apple here. And take a look at this. You're not going to believe this, guys. So take a look at this. This has been modified. I can lift this up. It's got these perfectly cut out grooves. I can see there, and I can open this side. I've got grooves on over here as well that fit the tabs. So inside, I've got my Commodore 128. Here's the introductory guide. I've got the layout of the Commodore and how you plug it all together. Oh, I've got two of them. Interesting. Very cool. So I got two of those guys. I've also got the Commodore 128 system guide. And I have the Commodore 128 system diskettes. This is really nice to have because I don't think I have these. It's certainly not in the original folder like this. Now, the person I got this lot from, this computer, he purchased this back in 1985. He said he got it from Sears and he was using it for a while, and the power supply blew out. So he returned it to Sears, and they told him he had to have the original box. And we got the computer back, they threw out his box. So he made this custom box. Another thing he did is he ended up getting this Phoenix CPS 128 power supply. This thing is super nice. I'll have to test it, make sure it's still putting out the right voltages, but you can see it has the power in and the power going out to the computer, as well as places where you can plug in your monitor and disk drives. Just a really beautiful power supply for the 128. Now, take a look at some of this packaging here. We have this piece of foam that is set right there, and it's actually got instructions placed between keyboard and power supply. And then the foam inserts have been cut down to fit the 128 perfectly. So you can see how this actually slides down into that groove. And we have this one that fits on the back, and it goes to the top of the computer. And on this side, I've got the front top, and that slides right out, giving me access to the Commodore 128. Now, this computer, it feels really good. It's not creaky or anything like that, but it is heavily yellowed, unfortunately. But that's kind of normal for these computers. And I have a feeling that this computer was well loved and used a lot, so it probably spent time close to a window or something like that where it got exposed to sun, which then yellowed the plastics. The keyboard itself shows some wear, like the keys are actually shiny, so it's definitely been used. But it's a gorgeous Commodore 128. I do have another one of these in my collection. It's in the original box. I don't know what it looks like now. I haven't opened the box up in years. It could look just like this now. I don't know. But if we take a look at the 128, you notice it's just a massive computer, but very similar to the Commodore 64. We've got two joystick inputs. We've got our power input, which the power on the 128 is slightly different than the Commodore 64. We've got a reset button, which the Commodore 64 does not have. And there's our power switch. On the back of the computer, we've got our expansion port, our cassette port, our serial video. This is our channel selector, our RF out. This is new. It's an RGBI connector. And we have the user port. So very similar, couple extra new things for the Commodore 128. And on this side, it's just blank. And the bottom is blank as well. So that's my Commodore 128. You might be curious, what did I pay for all these computers, these books and hardware and software? Altogether, I spent $400. This was a very difficult amount of money for me to spend on these antique computers, but I just felt that if I didn't get them, I would have regretted it later. So I went ahead and bought them. So that's all I've got for now. I am working on a part 2 to this video where I'm going to be pulling all this equipment out, see what works, see what doesn't work. So if you stuck around this long and you enjoyed the video and you haven't done so already, please subscribe because it really helps me out a lot. And until the next video, take care of yourself and goodbye.